This is By the Numbers, a podcast brought to you by the University of South Alabama's Mitchell College of Business. Well, welcome. This is Dion Castor. I'm with the Mitchell College of Business. This is our very first podcast, By the Numbers. And today we're featuring Dr. Michael Capella and Dr. Alvin Williams. Dr. Michael Capella is the new dean of Mitchell College of Business, and Dr. Williams was just recently the dean of Mitchell College of Business. So we thought this would be a great opportunity to introduce the dean and get to know him and see what he wants to do with this college. I'm going to hand the interview over to Shane Monagle and Brian Shirley. They're graduate assistant students here at Mitchell College of Business working on their MBAs. So here you go, guys.
All right. Thank you very much, Dion. We're super excited for our very first podcast here, By the Numbers.
So, welcome, Dr. Capella. Great to have you here. Could you tell us a little bit about yourself? So, a little bit of background, where you came from.
Sure, absolutely, yes. I too am excited to be here. So, I just recently started. So, I started at the beginning of the year. So, January 2nd was my first day. So, in a short period of time, I've really gotten to know the Mitchell College of Business well, and I'm very excited about the trajectory that both the university and the city of Mobile are on. There's so much going on with the city. You've got multiple infrastructure projects being developed, and the industry connections with the Mitchell College of Business in this town allow for multiple opportunities for our students to do internships and that type of thing. So it's really an exciting time to be not only at South, but also in the city of Mobile.
Yeah, for sure. And we're super excited to have you here and all of the great things you're going to do for us here. Welcome, Dr. Alvin Williams. It's great to have you here as well.
Thank you.
We know that you were the previous dean here at MCOB. Could you tell us a little bit about yourself and your background?
Well, thank you. It's a pleasure to be here this afternoon. This is my 15th year at the University of South Alabama. I'm in marketing. I have areas in sales, supply chain management, a number of other areas. I've been an administrator for a number of years, maybe 30, give or take. So currently, I'm chair of the Department of Marketing and Quantitative Methods and interim chair of the Department of Management.
Awesome.
And how do you two know each other from before South?
Well, Alvin really, he has quite a reputation in marketing. I was joking with him this morning. We were at a advisory council meeting, and I told him every day I run into somebody that says, I know Alvin. So I actually met Alvin as a PhD student. So I graduated from Mississippi State, and at that time he was at the University of Southern Mississippi, and so I've known him for a long time, and I know he's known my father even before that. So Alvin is quite a legend when it comes to faculty in marketing.
Well, again, I've been around a long, long time, and I knew Dean Capella's dad from the 1980s.
Oh, wow.
He's professor of marketing at Mississippi State University, so we had quite a close relationship with the marketing faculty at that point, so I knew every single marketing faculty on that campus. And so through that relationship, I learned about the dean, and certainly we have met at conferences and we've visited and chatted, so we've kept up with each other, I'm sure.
That's great. Well, through this friendship, Dr. Capella, what have you learned from Dr. Williams in your short time here at MCOB?
Well, I think part of what really attracted me to the position here was just the great foundation here at South. I mean, we've got some phenomenal programs already in place. We've got the Melton Center for Entrepreneurship and Innovation. I feel like there's a real opportunity to make entrepreneurship one of our signature programs and really help create and more fully develop the ecosystem here in Mobile. So I'm going to use some of my experience from being dean at Loyola University, New Orleans, and bring some of what I learned there to this area, because I feel like there's a real interest in students for going into that major. Right now it's a concentration. We're going to turn that into a major. But I really have to commend Alvin or Dr. Williams for laying such a good foundation for me to step into this role. So another example is our supply chain major. So we have, if you look at Mobile's known as the port city, we've got a shipping channel that's about to be dredged from 40 feet to 50 feet. That's going to make for the deepest port in the Gulf of Mexico. We've got 5 Class 1 railways into Mobile. We've got 2 interstates, I-10, which bisects the whole country from Jacksonville to LA. You've got I-65, which goes all the way up to Chicago. So this is a great location for logistics, and that program was just started a couple years ago under Dr. Williams' leadership. And then you've also got industry making investments in this market because of our location. And obviously it's a business friendly climate here down in Mobile. So you've got the South Alabama Logistics Park. It's a huge development project, 6 million square feet, which is being built out by one of our alum, no less. And then you've got other huge infrastructure projects that are going on. They're relocating the airport. They're building a new bridge over the bay, which is sorely needed, especially this time of year when you have all the spring breakers and in the summer with all the traffic. So anyway, there's just a lot going on that's really helping propel the economy in this city and helping grow the job opportunities for our graduates.
Yeah, and that's very exciting. I am an entrepreneur myself, and hearing about your current ventures in increasing the entrepreneurship program here at South is super exciting for me, and I also have lots of other friends that are planning on starting businesses themselves, and we're just all really excited to have you here.
Yeah, and the next question was what brought you to MCAL, but obviously you have a huge interest in the supply chain logistics and the infrastructure and the development plans for Mobile. But what was kind of one of the main reasons that brought you to MCAB?
Well, a lot of it was the relationship. So Noah, Dr. Williams obviously helped. Don Mosley, who heads our Melton Center for Entrepreneurship and Innovation, he's a Mississippi State grad. So there were a few faculty that I already do here, and then one of the things that really excited me about here was just the number of international companies that we have here in Mobile. So you've got companies like Airbus, Austal. Think about Airbus. They're gonna be, so once they're expanding their production facility here in Mobile, and we've got we've got connections with all those folks in industry on our advisory council here. Our executive advisory council is just kind of like a dean's advisory council. So we've got great industry connections. All of our students get an internship. It's part of the requirement for the degree, and that, quite honestly, isn't something you did not have that heavy multinational industry presence in New Orleans. You just didn't, and you really do here. So that was a big difference. And another thing that really attracted me to this position was having a PhD program. So I'm real excited to be able to work with the faculty here, identify opportunities to potentially grow that. So we've got concentrations right now in management, marketing, and analytics. And the analytics piece of it has really taken off. So we've really identified a need in the marketplace there. So we feel like we can expand upon that and have more focus on things like marketing analytics, supply chain analytics, those types of areas where there aren't as many programs graduating PhDs in there, but there's definitely demand.
Yeah, that's very interesting. You seem to have a really good kind of optimistic view for growth, kind of for the future. It seems to be you're really thinking of, what's the future, not what we just have, but what we can do, which is really interesting. And Dr. Williams, what brought you to MCAB originally from Southern Miss?
I was at Southern Miss for almost 30 years. I was dean there. I was not looking for a job. I had a conversation at a conference with someone from the Mitchell College of Business. I knew some of the faculty members, and they said, you need to come over and visit. I said, well, I'm not interested in visiting. I'm a happy camper where I am. They said, well, come over and visit anyway. So I did visit, and the numbers looked pretty good. I was at a certain age, and I took advantage of the opportunity, and I have not one single regret. I've loved every second of it.
The rest is history.
That's
as they say. Yeah.
So, Dr. Capella, where are you originally from?
So I was actually born in Pennsylvania, and then my dad. So I'm a second generation academic. So as we were talking previously, so my dad was in higher education. So I grew up mostly in Starkville, Mississippi. So he was on the faculty at Mississippi State. We moved down there when I was in the 5th grade. So basically, I went to high school, Starkville High, went to Mississippi State for undergrad. After graduation, I went to Georgia State, and then I worked in industry. So I got my MBA at Georgia State. I worked in outside sales for almost a decade, and then went back after 9/11 to get my PhD at State, and then I spent 14 years at Villanova, and then 5 at Loyola in New Orleans prior to coming to South.
Wow, so you've kind of been all over the place. That's awesome. Well, how about you, Dr. Williams? Where are you originally from?
I was born here in Mobile, have relatives all over Alabama, but never really lived here. I grew up in a small town in South Mississippi between Hattiesburg and Jackson, and got my first degree at the University of Southern Mississippi. Started college at 16, started graduate school at 19, started teaching college at 21, and I never stopped.
That is extremely
Got a
impressive.
PhD at 25. So I've been at this a while.
Wow. I'd say you're quite the genius.
I don't think so.
But I suppose as an undergrad, what was your favorite subject? Did you feel that you're always going to go into marketing, or that kind of just come out of nowhere?
Oh, I can tell you, accounting was not my favorite subject. I started college as an economics major. I had a high school econ teacher that made economics seem like it was just the most exciting thing on the planet. So I left high school fired up about econ. So I did the usual courses, took econ 1 and 2, price theory, income theory, and then I took something which was kind of the precursor to econometrics. And at the same time, I was taking principles of marketing. That econometrics was not looking too good, but the marketing started looking better and better. And again, I have no regrets. That changed that changed my life. That one principles of marketing class changed everything about what I wanted in life, and it opened so many doors. That one class, and the professor that taught that class, I ended up being his department chair. So I had 4 classes with the same person, and then I ended up being his department chair. But at any rate, it shows you how one person can make a difference. The econ teacher in high school made a world of difference, and that one teacher in principles of marketing made a difference as well.
It's amazing. That's it shows you're not just stuck to one career path. But even if you think that's where you're going, it's just once you keep your eyes open, you can see what could happen. And for you, Dr. Capella.
Yeah, so I guess I was always kind of drawn to marketing. One thing I've always liked, so I like I said, I had a career in sales, and the thing I liked about that is you basically got paid for your performance. So it was one of those things where you had a base salary and then you got paid a commission. So I used to love getting to look at my sales numbers. So you got quarterly bonuses. I mean, there were lots of opportunities, and then you had once a month you would get based a commission, or at least the job I had, you got a commission based on your sales versus the prior year. So you were always getting compensated for your performance as far as sales goes. So that for me was a great career path. And then for my MBA, I chose international business because that was something I always had an interest in. So I'm a big proponent of study abroad. I think those types of experiences can really be transformational for students, and we're doing some of that now. I know Dr. Williams is leading a group to Singapore this summer, and then I have an existing relationship with American University of Rome. So starting next summer, we're going to start doing study abroad over there, which I've done that for a number of years, both at Villanova and at Loyola, and I know that's a really good experience for students. Not only do they get to spend a month of true cultural immersion in Rome, they walk away with six credits. So it's just a really great opportunity for students to understand what it's like to live in a foreign country, not as a tourist where you're just racing around going to all the tourist attractions. You're actually living there like you would as a Roman citizen, or in the case of Singapore or the UK, where we have study abroad opportunities this summer.
Yeah, I think you're so right. Like personally, I'm technically studying abroad in my undergraduate in Ireland, where I'm from. So now I'm in America do my study abroad degree, I suppose. And I know you are very passionate about it, Dr. Williams. I think in 2017 you set up the Alfonso and Bernice Endowment Fund. Was it for the study abroad program?
Yes, I did that at the University of Southern Mississippi, and I have the same fund here at University of South Alabama. So I have 2 scholarships at 2 schools, both focusing on study abroad.
Yeah. And did you find that was very beneficial when you were younger?
Well, not when I was younger, but I did my first study abroad course probably as a faculty leader in maybe the early 90s. And so we had a very structured program in London, so we'd have about 200 students, 15 different courses. So I did that every other summer, maybe for 7 or 8 summers. And I saw the changes that occurred in a lot of students over time. And we're talking students that are first generation college students, and every single year you'd have people that would go that was their very first time getting on an airplane. You know, you think about it today, you're a senior and you've not flown, but that happens every single time, including next month. And that's good. We want to provide those types of experiences. But very importantly, they can integrate those experiences into the coursework. They have a better appreciation for the fundamentals of international business. And that's extremely important given a lot of the things that we're experiencing in the world economy today.
I think you're absolutely correct, because when you go into the working world, you might not get everyone who came from the same college. There are different learning experiences. You have to learn how to deal with that and how they go about doing work. So by going to another college, studying abroad, completely different culture, you get a sense of that.
Yes.
And Dr. Williams, from what we understand, your study abroad program that you started is actually named after your father. Is that correct?
The scholarship that I have at the University of Southern Mississippi is named after my mom and dad.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, could you tell us a little bit about your father and your mother as well and their careers?
Yep, both of my parents are teachers. They grew up here in Alabama. My parents met at what is now Bishop State Community College. And interestingly, Mr. Bishop taught them English literature in 1948. So, of course, they married, and they finished here and went to Alabama State. And old-timers here in Mobile still call Bishop State the branch. So you would graduate from the branch, and then you'd automatically go to Montgomery, to Alabama State College at that time. And they did that, and they got teaching jobs, and they just taught forever.
Oh, that's great.
Yep.
And you just followed in their footsteps.
Reluctantly, I was looking for a job in 1975. I'd gotten my master's at Tuscaloosa in marketing and was chatting with the dean, and I said I need a job, and it was a recessionary period. And there were some opportunities, but they weren't overly attractive, so I needed money. You know, graduate students, you need money. So the dean said, Alvin, there's a teaching job available in Huntsville. I said, oh, no, I don't want to teach. I want to get rich. I want to make real money. But the clock was ticking, and I needed money. So I ended up going for a job interview at Alabama A&M University in Huntsville. And so in one day, and I tell this story all the time, in one day I drove from Tuscaloosa to Huntsville. I interviewed, I got the job, got an apartment, and I think I was back in Tuscaloosa by sundown. You couldn't do that.
What a day.
And so that's literally, I started teaching college there at 21, and my students were older than I. So I taught juniors and seniors. They were all 22 and 23, but you know, over that 2-year period, I literally loved every single day of going to college. And I said, going to work. I said, Alvin, this is not a bad way to make a living. You ought to go get a PhD. So went to the University of Arkansas, got a PhD, came back, went to Southern Miss, stayed for almost 30 years, and then landed right here in Mobile.
Wow.
That's my story.
What a journey. Well, how about you, Dr. Capella? Could you tell us a little bit about your family's background and why you decided to follow in their footsteps as being an educator?
Well, so coming out of undergrad, I was determined not to do that. So that's why I went.
You guys have that in common.
Yeah, I went and did sales. Like I said, for almost 10 years. But then my wife was the one. We were living in California at the time, so my sales career took me from Atlanta to Florida. That's where I met my wife, and then we moved out to California. So we were gone. We were out there for 5 years, and during the holidays, it seemed like we were always coming back. So then, finally she convinced me it was time for a career change, and like I said, it was right after 9/11, so it just felt like a good time to pivot. So went back to Mississippi State, and then it's been a great journey for me as well, and I really wouldn't change a thing about it.
And do you ever plan on teaching a class here at MCAB?
I would love to do a study abroad. I don't know if I could do it during the semester, but I'd like I've done in the past. I've led students to those programs in Rome. So I would love to do that here. I actually have another one of our professors that's agreed to do it, but I agreed to go at the beginning for the handoff. So I will pass off the baton and then let him carry the torch forward. But yeah, I've always really enjoyed those study abroad opportunities because of the close personal interaction you get with the students, because you're with them every day. Well, Monday through Thursday. That's the other nice thing about study abroad is there's no class on Fridays.
But if the dean is interested in teaching a marketing class, I could talk to the department chair and probably get a pretty good deal.
That's a good plan now. Get that sorted.
Yeah.
And how are you liking Mobile so far?
I've been real impressed. It's a vibrant business community. There's a lot of options, good options as far as where to live, real high quality of life. The thing I find really attractive about the location here is you've got Mobile and then you've got Baldwin County. So together, those two locations are about 500,000 people, and in both areas are growing. Especially Baldwin County, you've got significant growth there. So really, if you look at where we are, we're really well positioned with the industry in Mobile, and then all the tourism over in Baldwin County, Gulf Shores in that area, and you've got another 500,000 people in Pensacola. So if you combine those areas, you're well over 1 million people, which is roughly the same size as the New Orleans metro area, and Baldwin County is one of the fastest growing parts of the country. So you've got significant opportunities for investment in real estate and that type of thing over there. So going forward, I'm very optimistic about this area.
Great. Well, just kind of stepping aside from the work environment, whenever you're not here at work, what do you like to do for fun? What's some of your hobbies, Dr. Capella?
So when I was younger, I always thought wanted to be a chef. So I really like to cook. So we got a nice outdoor living setup. I got a new grill, so I'm real excited to use that. Now I gave up meat for Lent, so I'm really waiting till after Easter. So starting in April, I will be firing up the grill on a regular basis.
It'll taste all that bit better.
Yeah.
Yes, it will. But I've learned some good eating habits by giving up meat, so I'm going to start putting more vegetables on the grill, not just steak.
There's nothing wrong with grilling some vegetables every now and then. I love grilled vegetables.
Yes.
You can say that now, but we'll see just after Lent what actually happens.
Scratch the vegetables, steak only. So how about you, Dr. Williams? What do you like to do for fun outside of work?
Well, I jog, not as much as I should, but I do enjoy it. Read, travel. I'm not athletic, so I'm not going to ever play soccer or football or basketball or baseball or tennis. But I'm very engaged from a civic standpoint. I spend a lot of time in church-related activities and civic-related stuff, so that takes up a real chunk of time when I'm not here. But from things that I enjoy would be the jogging and the like, and reading.
Awesome.
Actually, tell us about your family, actually.
Well, have a wife, 2 kids. My wife's been retired, so I guess she's waiting for me to retire. She taught school for almost 40 years, and I have two daughters that live there in Hattiesburg. So just nothing, everybody is basically in the same general area. I'm an only child, so I don't have to, make any calls to see. I do have a sister in St. Louis, but we didn't grow up together. But, I basically grew up as an only child and enjoyed every bit of it. Had a lot of friends, just a regular, normal, growing up.
Very nice, sounds good.
Enjoyed every bit of it.
Regular apart from graduating at 19 and getting a
Yeah.
master's by 21 and teaching at 21.
I'm telling you.
Yeah. And Dr. Capella, could you tell us something about your family? Tell us a little bit.
Oh, so I have two daughters at home, 15 and 17, and then we have two dogs. So that keeps us pretty busy, and we're actually over in Fairhope, so we're on the other side of the bay. But everyone is settled in. We really like living there. It's a really nice place to live, and South actually has a location over there. So there's a program called USA by the Bay. There's regular programming over there, and I think there's actually opportunities perhaps to have programming out of that location. So that's something else we're exploring, because it's a good location, and like I said, you're right in between, the population centers of Mobile and Pensacola. So I think there's some opportunities for us over there as well.
For sure. So, say, you could take a step back to yourself back in high school. What's some advice that you could give yourself and to current high schoolers that are thinking about going to college? Dr. Capella, what would you say to these high schoolers that are trying to make that decision?
I think you got to really look at where you feel like you fit in and in what feels like home. I think one of the key advantages to coming to a place like South is we're, relatively speaking, still pretty small. I mean, we're manageable, 14,000 students, but it feels a lot smaller than that, so that there's accessibility to your faculty. We go out of our way to help make sure students are successful, whether it's through our prep program or through the internship program or student advising. So I feel like we have a really good infrastructure to make sure students can be successful, and having a 17-to-1 student to faculty ratio really sort of speaks to the idea that even though we might be a state institution, we actually feel more like a private school in the way that we treat our students.
And that's great. That's one of the main reasons that I chose to come here to South, because I love that more home type environment where I know that I can go to my professor, ask for specific advice, and know that they'll be able to give me that undivided attention. And that's one of the best things about South. I would agree. How about you, Dr. Williams? What advice would you give to a high schooler who's thinking about going to college?
Explore, explore, explore. Explore the many options. I'm not sure if high school students look at the broader scope, and I think we should provide more opportunities for them to explore a lot of different things. The traditional areas are always in front of them, but I think it's incumbent upon us to share other things that are available. So if you're a typical 18-year-old in high school today, explore as many opportunities as possible, and do some self-assessment. Know your strengths, know your weaknesses. I was talking to a student this morning, and he started in engineering, he thought, and he was not good in math. I said, well, were you not advised that that might not be a good thing to consider? But he was so determined. He thought he could overcome his lack of ability and aptitude in math. He thought that his effort and motivation would overcome that, but it didn't. But he's a superb student in business. So explore the different options. I knew that I would never get the accounting award. All right, that was just not going to be on my resume. But my life has still been just fine. But seriously, assess your own strengths and weaknesses. Who are you as a person? What do you want to be? What do you want to do? How important is money? You know, everybody doesn't need to be a millionaire. I mean, a lot of people don't. They want job satisfaction. Obviously, you want both. You want money and job satisfaction. But there are people, I've had students to leave really, really good jobs, making less money on the new job. Their satisfaction level is up here. They're happy campers. So do some self-assessment. Have some conversations. Talk to people. And again, explore, explore, explore.
Yeah, that's fantastic advice, especially why you said talking to people. You can learn from other people's experiences, and that's nearly one of the most valuable things you can do.
Yes.
Because they maybe have 20, 30 years experience, so they have a good idea what way to guide you.
Yeah.
And I suppose finally, especially using your marketing and sales background, why would you choose MCAV? How would you sell MCAV?
Oh, that's easy. Certainly we have good programs, we have good people, and we mentor students. We take care of students. Can you get things here that you can't get somewhere else? I mean, you're going to get an accounting course at other places. You'll get a marketing course somewhere else. But the attention that you will receive as an accounting student, as a marketing student, I'd put us up against any other school, anywhere, even private schools. We pay attention to students, period.
Well said, very well said. It's like being a big fish in a small pond rather than being a small fish in a big pond where you're kind of forgotten about in some of the bigger colleges. So that really looks after you. And for Dr. Capella?
Yeah, and I would certainly echo those comments and point to some of the programs we have, which I think really are a little bit unique. So, you know, we have the Sabre Center, so we have a opportunity for students to get involved in real estate if that's something they're interested in. And, you know, with the real estate market in Baldwin County really taking off, that offers students an ability to really kind of explore not only the residential side of it, but also the commercial side of real estate. And we've got faculty expertise in that area. Entrepreneurship, which I think is a fabulous area, the supply chain. So we've got HR, so things like that kind of go beyond just your traditional business disciplines, and the ability to really partner with industry, I think is another big difference that separates us from, you know, we've got, not only do we have the Division I sports, so you have all that. Now we're not necessarily winning national titles like some other schools in the state of Alabama, but we are still very competitive, and so you have that fun aspect of it, but you also have opportunities to engage with industry. I mean, let's face it, you're not very far from the beach. That's got to be a selling point. And then it's a really interesting history to Mobile. I mean, we all know Mardi Gras was invented in Mobile, as much as they don't like to admit it in New Orleans.
Yep.
Mobile is older than New Orleans by 15 years. So, you know, it all started here. The French started here and moved down, you know, to find the Mississippi River. But anyway, it's just got a fabulous history. It's a really interesting location. The downtown is really thriving. So you've got really the best of both worlds. And then, you know, we're out here, you know, closer to Spring Hill. So you're a little bit removed from the city itself, but you have easy access to it. And there's lots of really beautiful neighborhoods and historic houses. So to me, it really is the best of all worlds here.
Yeah, well, that's me sold anyway. Thank you to Dr. Michael Capella and Dr. Alvin Williams for joining us on the first podcast.
And that's all she wrote for By the Numbers first podcast by me, Brylan.
And me, Shane. We'll see you on the next one.
See ya.
Thank you for listening to By the Numbers, brought to you by the Mitchell College of Business. Stay tuned. There'll be a new episode coming soon.